The Apocrypha, Second Esdras of the King James Bible, 1611. Second Esdras, the second book of Esdras, chapters 1 through 8. The second book of the prophet Esdras, the son of Saraias, the son of Azarias, the son of Hilkias, the son of Sadamias, the son of Sadak, the son of Akitab, the son of Achias, the son of Phinehas, the son of Heli, the son of Amarias, the son of Azariah, the son of Merimoth, the son and of he spake unto of Borid, the son of Abisi, the son of Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron of the tribe of Levi, which was captive in the land of the Medes, in the reign of Artaxerxes, king of the Persians. And the word of mighty God Ahiah came unto me, saying, Go thy way, and show my people their sinful deeds, and their children their wickedness which they have done against me, that they may tell their children's children, because of the sins of their fathers are increased in them, for they have forgotten me, and have offered unto strange gods. And am not I even he that brought them out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage? But they have provoked me unto wrath, and despised my counsels. Pull thou off then the hair of thy head, and cast all evil upon them, for they have not been obedient unto my law, but it is a rebellious people. How long shall I forbear them, and to whom I have done so much good? Many kings have I destroyed for their sakes. Pharaoh with his servants and all his power have I smitten down. All the nations have I destroyed before them, and in the east I have scattered the people of 2 provinces, even of Tyrus and Sidon, and have slain all their enemies. Spake thou therefore unto them, saying, Thus says mighty God Ahiah, I led you through the sea, and in the beginning gave you a large and safe passage. I gave you Moses for a leader, and Aaron for a priest. I gave you light and a pillar of fire, and great wonder have I done among you, yet have you forgotten me, said Ahiah, mighty God. Thus says the Almighty King Ahiah, the quails were as a token to you. I gave you tents for your safeguard, nevertheless you murmured there, and triumphed not in my name for the destruction of your enemies, but ever to this day do you yet murmur. Where are the benefits that I have done for you? When you were hungry and thirsty in the wilderness, did ye not cry unto me, saying, What hast thou brought us into this wilderness to kill us? It had been better for us to have served the Egyptians than to die in this wilderness. Then had I pity upon your mournings, and gave you manna to eat, so you did eat angels' bread. When you were thirsty, did I not cleave the rock, and waters flowed out to your fill? For the heat I covered you with the leaves of the trees. I divided among you a fruitful land, and I cast out the Canaanites and the Pharizzites and the Philistines before you. What shall I yet do more for you, said Ahiah, mighty God? Thus says the Almighty King Ahiah, when you were in the wilderness in the river of the Amorites, being athirst and blaspheming my name, I gave you not fire for your blasphemies, but cast a tree in the water, and made the river sweet. What shall I do unto thee, O Jacob? Thou Judah, wouldest not obey me? I will turn me to other nations, and unto those will I give my name, that they may keep my statutes. Seeing you have forgotten me, I will forsake you, and also when you desire me to be gracious unto you, I shall have no mercy upon you. Whensoever you shall call upon me, and I will not hear you, for you have defiled your hands with blood, and your feet are swift to commit manslaughter. You have not as it were forsaken me, but your own selves, said Ahiah. Thus says the mighty King Ahiah, have I not prayed you as a father his sons, as a mother her daughters, and a nurse her young babes, that you would be my people, and I should be your mighty God, that you would be my children, and I should be your father? I gave you together as a hen gather her chickens under the wings, but now what shall I do unto you? I will cast you out from my face. When you offer unto me, I will turn my face from you. For your solemn feast days, your new moons, and your circumcision have I forsaken. I send unto you my servants the prophets, whom you have taken and slain, and torn their bodies in pieces, whose blood I will require of your hands, said mighty God Ahiah. Thus says mighty God Ahiah, our Master and King, your house is desolate, and I will cast you out as the wind doth stubble. And your children shall not be fruitful, for they have despised my commandments, and done the thing that is an evil before me. Your houses will I give to a people that shall come, which not having heard of me, yet shall believe me, to whom I have showed no signs, yet they shall do that I have commanded them. They have seen no prophets, yet they shall call their sins to remembrance and acknowledge them. I take to witness the grace of the people to come, whose little one rejoice in gladness, and though they have not seen me with bodily eyes, yet in spirit they believe the thing that I say. And now, brother, behold, what glory, and see the people that come from the east, unto whom I will give for leaders Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Osias, Amos, and Michael, Joel, and Abdias, and Jonas, Nahum, and Habakkuk, Sophonias, Agias, Zachary, and Malachi, which is called also an angel of mighty God Ahiah. Thus says mighty God Ahiah, I brought this people out of bondage, and I gave them my commandment by manservant the prophets, whom they would not hear, but despised my counsels. The mother that bare them said unto them, Go your way, ye children, for I am a widow and forsaken. I brought you up with gladness, but with sorrow and heaviness have I lost you. For you have sinned before the mighty God, your King, your heavenly Father, and done that thing that is evil before him. But what shall I now do unto you? I am a widow and forsaken, go your way, O my children, and ask mercy of mighty God Ahiah. As for me, O Father, I call upon thee for a witness over the mother of these children, which would not keep my covenant, that thou bring them to confusion, and their mother to a spoil, that there may be no offspring of them. Let them be scattered abroad among the heathen, let their names be put out of the earth, for they have despised my covenant. Woe be unto thee, Ashur, that thou hidest thy unrighteous in thee, O thou wicked people. Remember what I did unto Solomon and Gomorrah, whose land lied in clods of pitch and heaps of ashes. Even so also will I do unto them that hear me not, said the Almighty King Ahiah. Thus says mighty God Ahiah unto Esdras, Tell my people that I will give them the kingdom of Jerusalem, which I would have given unto Israel. Their glory also will I take unto me, and give these the everlasting tabernacles which I had prepared for them. They shall have the tree of life for an ornament of sweet savor. They shall neither labor nor be weary. Go, and you shall receive prey for a few days unto you, that they may be shortened. The kingdom is already prepared for you. Watch. Take heaven and earth to witness, for I have broken the evil in pieces and created the good, for I live, said Ahiah, mighty God. Mother, embrace thy children and bring them up with gladness. Make their feet as fast as a pillar, for I have chosen thee, said mighty God Ahiah. And those that be dead will I raise up again from their places and bring them out of their graves, for I have known my name in Israel. Fear not thy mother of the children, for I have chosen thee, said mighty God Ahiah. For thy help will I send my servant Esau and Jeremy, after whose counsel I have sanctified and prepared for thee 12 trees laden with diverse fruits, and as many fountains flowing with milk and honey, and 7 mighty mountains whereupon there grow roses and lilies, whereby I will fill thy children with joy. Do right to the widow, judge for the fatherless, give to the poor, defend the orphan, clothe the naked, heal the broken and the weak, laugh not a lame man to scorn, defend the maimed, and let the blind man come into the sight of my clearness. Keep the old and young within thy walls. Whatsoever thou findest the dead, take them and bury them, and I will give thee the first place in my resurrection. Abide still, O my people, and take thy rest, for thy quietness still comes. Nourish thy children, O thou good nurse, establish their feet. As for the servant whom I have given thee, there shall not one of them perish, for I will require them from among thy number. Be not weary, for when the day of trouble and heaviness cometh, others shall weep and be sorrowful, but thou shalt be merry and have abundance. The heathen shall envy thee, but thou shalt be able to do nothing against thee, said mighty God Ahiah. My hand shall cover thee, so that thy children shall not see hell. Be joyful, O thy mother, with thy children, for I will deliver thee, said mighty God Ahiah. Remember thy children that sleep, for I shall bring them out of the sides of the earth, and show mercy unto them, for I am merciful, said mighty God Ahiah, our King and Savior. Embrace thy children until I come and show mercy unto them, for my wells runs over, and my grace shall not fail. I, Esdras, receive a charge of mighty God Ahiah upon thy mount Oreb, that I should go unto Israel. But when I came unto them, they set me at naught, and despised the commandments of mighty God Ahiah. And therefore I said unto you, O ye heathen, that hear and understand, look for your shepherd, he shall give you everlasting rest, for he is nigh at hand, that shall come in the end of the world. Be ready to the reward of the kingdom, for the everlasting light shall shine upon you forevermore. Flee the shadow of this world, receive the joyfulness of your glory, and I testify my Savior openly. O receive the gift that is given you, and be glad, giving thanks unto him that had led you to the heavenly kingdom. And arise up and stand, behold the number of those that be sealed in the feast of mighty God Ahiah, which are departed from the shadow of the world, and have received glorious garments of mighty God Ahiah. Take thy number, O Zion, and shut up those of thine that are clothed in white, which have fulfilled the law of mighty God Ahiah. The number of thy children whom thou longest for is fulfilled. Beseech the power of mighty God Ahiah, that thy people which have been called from the beginning may be hallowed. I, Esdras, saw upon the Mount Sion a great people, whom I could not number, and they all praised mighty God Ahiah with songs. And in the midst of them there was a young man of a high stature, taller than all the rest, and upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing, and put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of mighty God Ahiah. Now are they crowned and receive palms. Then said I unto the angel, What young person is it that crowneth them, and giveth them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, It is the Son of God, which they have confessed in the world. They began greatly to command them that stood so stiffly for the name of mighty God Ahiah. Then the angel said unto me, Go thy way, and tell my people what manner of things and how great wonders of mighty God Ahiah our King thou hast seen. In the 13th year after the ruin of the city, I was in Babylon, and laid trouble upon my bed, and my thoughts came up over my heart. For I saw the desolation of Zion, and the wealth of them that dwelt in Babylon. And my spirit was sore moved, so that I began to speak words full of fear to the Most High, and said, O my King, who bearest rule, thou spakest at the beginning, when thou didst plant the earth, and that thyself alone, and commandest thy people, and gavest the body unto Adam without a soul, which was the workmanship of thine hands, and didst breathe into him the breath of life, and he was made living before thee. And thou leadest him into paradise, which thy right hand had planted before ever the earth came forward. And unto him thou gavest commandments to love thy way, which he transgressed, and immediately thou appointedst death in him and in his generations, of whom came nations, tribes, people, and kindreds out of number. And every people walked after their own will, and did wonderful things before thee, and despised thy commandments. And again, in process of time, thou broughtest the flood upon those that dwelt in the world, and and destroyest them. And it came to pass in every of them that as death was to Adam, so was the flood to these. Nevertheless, one of them thou leftest, namely Noah, with his household, of whom came all righteous men. And it happened that when they that dwelt upon the earth began to multiply, and had gotten them many children, and were a great people, they began again to be more ungodly than the first. Now when they lived so wickedly before thee, thou didst choose thee a man from among them, whose name was Abraham. Him thou lovest, and unto him only thou showest thy will, and madest and madest an everlasting covenant with him, promising him that thou wouldest never forsake his seed. And unto him thou gavest Isaac, and unto Isaac also thou gavest Jacob and Esau. As for Jacob, thou didst choose him to thee, and put by Esau, and so Jacob became a great multitude. And it came to pass that when thou leadest his seed out of Egypt, thou broughtest them up to the Mount Sinai, and bowing the heavens, thou didst set fast the earth, movest the whole world, and madest the depths to tremble, and troubled it the men of that age. And thy glory went through 4 gates of fire, and of earthquake, and of wind, and of cold, that thou mightest give the law unto the seed of Jacob, and diligence unto the generation of Israel. And yet tookest thou not away from them a wicked heart, that thy law might bring forth fruit in them. For the first Adam, bearing a wicked heart, transgressed, and was overcome, so be all that are born of him. Thus infirmity was made permanent, and the law also in the heart of the people, with the malignity of the root, so that the good departed away, and the evil abode still. So the times passed away, and the years were brought to an end, that didst thou raise thee up a servant called David, whom thou commandest to build a city unto thy name, and to offer incense and oblations unto thee therein. When this was done many years, then they that inhabited the city forsook thee. And in all things did even as Adam and all his generations had done, for they also had a wicked heart. And so thou gavest the city over into the hands of thine enemies. Are their deeds then any better than inhabit Babylon, that they should therefore have the dominion over Sion? For when I came thither and had seen impities without number, then my soul saw many evildoers in this 13th year, in the 30th year, so that my heart failed me. For I have seen how thou sufferest them sinning, and have spared wicked doers, and have destroyed thy people, and have preserved thine enemies, and hast not signified it. I do not remember how this way may be left, or they that then at Babylon better than they of Sion? Or is there any other people that know thee besides Israel? Or what generation has so believed thy covenants as Jacob? And yet their reward appeared not, and their labor had no fruit. For I have gone here and there through the heathen, and I see that they float in wealth, and think not upon thy commandments. Weigh thou therefore our wickedness now in the balance, and theirs also that dwell the world, and so shall thy name nowhere be found but in Israel. Or when was it that they which dwell upon the earth have not sinned in thy sight? Or what people have so kept thy commandments? Thou shalt find that Israel by name have kept thy precepts, but not the heathen. And the angel that was sent unto me, whose name was Uriel, gave me an answer, and said, Thy heart had gone too far in this world, and thinkest thou to comprehend the way of the Most High? Then said I, Yea, my Lord. And he answered me and said, I am sent to show thee 3 ways, and to set forth 3 similitudes before thee, whereof if thou canst declare me one, I will show thee also the way that thou desirest to see, and I shall show thee from whence the wicked heart cometh. And I said, Tell on, my king. Then said he unto me, Go thy way, weigh me the weight of the fire, or measure me the blast of the wind, or call me again the day that is past. Then answered I and said, What man is able to do that thou shouldest ask such things of me? And he said unto me, If I should ask thee how great dwellings are in the midst of the sea, or how many springs are in the beginning of the deep, or how many springs are above the firmament, of which are the outgoings of paradise, peradventure thou wouldest say unto me, I never went down into the deep, nor as yet into hell, neither did I ever climb up into heaven. Nevertheless, now have I asked thee, but only of the fire and wind, and of the day wherethrough thou hast passed, and of things from which thou canst not be separated, and yet canst thou give me no answer of them? He said moreover unto me, Thine own things, and such as are grown up with thee, canst thou not know? How should the vessels then be able to comprehend the way of the highest, and the world being now outwardly corrupted, to understand the corruption that is evident in my sight? Then said I unto him, It were better that we were not at all, than that we should live still in wickedness, and to suffer, and not to know wherefore. He answered me and said, I went into a forest, into a plain, and the trees took counsel, and said, Come, let us go and make war against the sea, that it may depart away before us, and that we may make us more woods. The floods of the sea also in like manner took counsel, and said, Come, let us go up and subdue the woods of the plain, that there also we may make us another country. The thought of the wood was in vain, for the fire came and consumed it. The thought of the floods of the sea came likewise to naught, for the sand stood up and stopped them. If thou wert judged now betwixt these two, whom wouldest thou begin to justify, or whom wouldest thou condemn? I answered and said, Verily it is a foolish thought that they both have devised, for the ground is given unto the wood, and the sea also had his place to bear his floods. Then answered he me and said, Thou hast given a right judgment, but why judgest thou not thyself also? For like as the ground is given into the wood, and the sea to his floods, even so they that dwell upon the earth may understand nothing but that which is upon the earth. And he that dwelleth above the heavens may only understand the things that are above in the height of the heavens. Then answered I and said, O beseech thee, O King, mighty God, let me have understanding. For it was not my mind to be curious of the high things, but of such as pass by us daily, namely, wherefore Israel is given up as a reproach to the heathen, and for what cause the people whom thou hast loved is given over unto ungodly nations, and why the law of our forefathers is brought to naught, and the written covenants come to none effect. And we pass away out of the world as grasshoppers, and our life is astonishment and fear, and we are not worthy to obtain mercy. What will he then do unto his name whereby we are called? Or these things have I asked? Then answered he me and said, The more thou searchest, the more thou shalt marvel, for the world hasteth fast to pass away, and cannot comprehend the things that are promised to the righteous in time to come, for this world is full of unrighteousness and infirmities, which are sin. But as concerning the things whereof thou askest me, I will tell thee, for the evil is sown, but the destruction thereof is not yet come. If therefore that which is sown be not turned upside down, and if the place where the evil is sown pass not away, then cannot it come that it's sown with good. For the grain of evil seed had been sown in the heart of Adam from the beginning, and how much ungodliness had it brought up unto this time, and how much shall it yet bring forth until the time of the threshing come? Ponder now by thyself how great fruit of wickedness the grain of evil seed had brought forth, and when the ears shall be cut down, which are without number, how great a floor shall they fill? Then I answered and said, How and when shall these things come to pass? Wherefore are our years few and evil? And he answered me, saying, Do not thou hasten above the most highest, for thy haste is in vain to be above him, for thou hast much exceeded. Did not the souls also of the righteous ask questions of these things in their chambers, saying, How long shall I hope on this fashion, when cometh the fruit of the floor of our reward? And unto these things Uriel the archangel gave them answer, and said, Even when the number of seed is filled in you, for he had weighed the world in the balance. By measure had he measured the times, and by number had he numbered the times, and he doth not move nor stir them, until he said measure be fulfilled. Then answered I and said, O my king, O master, that bearest rule, even we all are full of impiety. And for our sakes peradventure it is that the floors of the righteous are not filled, because of the sins of them that dwell upon the earth. So he answered me and said, Go thy way to a woman with child, and ask of her when shall have fulfilled her 9 months, if her womb may keep the birth any longer within her. Then said I, No, Lord, that can she not. And he said unto me, In the grave the chambers of souls are like the womb of a woman. For like as a woman that travaileth maketh haste to escape the necessity of the travail, even so do these places haste to deliver those things that are committed unto them. From the beginning look what thou desirest to see, it shall be showed thee. Then answered I and said, If I have found favor in thy sight, and if it be possible, and if I be meet, therefore, show me then whether there be more to come than is past, or more past than is to come. What is past I know, but what is for to come I know not. And he said unto me, Stand up upon the right side, and I shall expound the similitude unto thee. So I stood and saw, and behold, an hot burning oven passed by before me, and it happened that when the flame was gone by, I looked, and behold, the smoke remained still. And this there passed by before me a watery cloud, and sent down much rain with a storm, and when the stormy rain was past, the drops remained still. Then said he unto me, Consider with thyself, as the rain is more than the drops, and as the fire is greater than the smoke, but the drops and the smoke remain behind, so the quantity which is past did more exceed. Then I prayed and said, May I live, thinkest thou, unto this time, or what shall happen in those days? He answered me and said, As for the tokens whereof thou asked me, I may tell thee of them in part, but as touching thy life I am not sent to show thee, for I do not know it. Nevertheless, as coming the tokens, behold, the day shall come that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. But iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. And the land that thou seest now to have root shall thou see wasted suddenly. But if the Most High grant thee to live, thou shalt see after the third trumpet that the sun shall suddenly shine again in the night, and the moon thrice in the day. And blood shall drop out of wood, and the stone shall give his voice, and the people shall be troubled. And even he shall rule whom they look not for, that dwell upon the earth, and the fowls shall take their flight away together. And the Sodomitish sea shall cast out fish, and make a noise in the night, which may have not known, but they shall all hear the voice thereof. There shall be a confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be oft sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. And salt waters shall be found in the sweet, and all friends shall destroy one another. Then shall wit hide itself, and understanding withdraw itself into his secret chamber, and shall be brought of many, and yet not be found. Then shall unrighteousness and incontinency be multiplied upon the earth. One land also shall ask another and say, Is righteousness that maketh a man righteous gone through thee? And it shall say, No. At the same time shall men hope but nothing obtain. They shall labor but their ways shall not prosper. To show thee such tokens I have leave. Excuse me. And if thou wilt pray again and weep as now and fast even days, thou shalt hear yet greater things. Then I awakened, and an extreme fearfulness went through all my body, and my mind was troubled, so that it fainted. So the angel that was come to talk with me held me, comforted me, and set me upon my feet. And in the second night it came to pass that Salathiel, the captain of the people, came unto me, saying, Where hast thou been, and why is thy countenance so heavy? Knowest thou not that Israel is committed unto thee in the land of their captivity? Up then and eat bread, and forsake us not, as the shepherd that leaveth his flock in the hands of cruel wolves. Then said I unto him, Go thy ways from me, and come not nigh me. And he heard what I said, and went from me. And so I fasted 7 days, mourning and weeping, like as Uriel the angel commanded me. And after 7 days so it was, that the thoughts of my heart were very grievous unto me again. And my soul recovered the spirits of understanding, and I began to talk with the Most High again. And said, O mighty God Ahia, thou bearest rule of every wood of the earth, and all the trees thereof. Thou hast chosen thee one only vine. And of all lands of the whole world thou hast chosen the people one pit. And of all the flowers thereof one lily. And of all thy depths of the sea thou hast filled thee one river. And of all builded cities thou hast hallowed Zion unto thyself. And of all the fowls that are created thou hast named thee one dove. And of all the cattle that are made thou hast provided thee one sheep. And among all the multitudes of people thou hast gotten thee one people. And unto this people whom thou lovest thou gavest a law that is approved of all. And now, O mighty God Ahia, why hast thou given this one people over unto many? And upon the one root hast thou prepared others? And why hast thou scattered thy only one people among many? And they which did gainsay thy promises and believed not thy covenants had trodden them down. If thou didst so much hate thy people, yet shouldest thou punish them with their own hands? Now when I had spoken these words, the angel that came to me the night afore was sent unto me, and said unto me, Hear me, and I will instruct thee. Hearken to the thing that I say, and I shall tell thee more. And I said, Speak on, my king, my lord. Then said he unto me, Thou art sore troubled in mind for Israel's sake. Lovest thou that people better than he that made them? And I said, No, Lord, but of very grief have I spoken, for my reins pain me every hour, while I labor to comprehend the way of the Most High, and to seek out part of his judgment. And he said unto me, Thou canst not. And I said, Wherefore, Lord? Whereunto was I born then? Or why was not my mother womb then my grave, that I may not have seen the travail of Jacob, and the wearisome toil of the stock of Israel? And he said unto me, Number me the things that are not yet come, gather me together the dross that are scattered abroad, make me the flowers green again that are withered. Open me the places that are closed, and bring me forth the winds that in them are shut up. Show me the image of a voice, that then I will declare to thee the thing that thou laborest to know. And I said, O Ahia, thy bearest rule, who may know these things, but he had not his dwelling with men. As for me, I am unwise. How may I then speak of these things whereof thou asked me? Then said he unto me, Like as thou canst do none of these things that I have spoken of, even so canst thou not find out my judgment, or in the end the love that I have promised unto my people. And I said, Behold, O mighty God Ahiah, yet art thou nigh unto them that be reserved till the end? And what shall they do that have been before me, or we that be now, or they that shall come after us? And he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a ring, like as there is no slackness of the last, even so there is no swiftness of the first. So I answered and said, Couldst thou not make those that have been made, and be now that they that are for to come at once, that thou mightest show us thy judgments the sooner? Then answered he me, said, The creature made not haste above the Maker, neither may the world hold them at once that shall be created therein. And I said, As thou hast said unto thy servant, that thou which gavest life to all hast given life at once to the creature that thou hast created, and the creature bare it, even so it might now also bear them that now be present at once. And he said unto me, Ask the womb of a woman, and say unto her, If thou bringest forth children, why dost thou it not together, but one after another? Pray her therefore to bring forth 10 children at once. And I said, She cannot, but must do it by distance of time. Then said he unto me, Even so have I given thee womb of the earth to those that be sown in it in their times. For like as a young child may not bring forth things that belong to the age, even so have I disposed the world which I created. And I asked and said, Seeing thou hast now given me the way, I will proceed to speak before thee. For our mother, of whom thou hast told me that she is young, draweth now nigh unto age. And he answered me and asked and said, Ask a woman that beareth children, and she shall tell thee. Say unto her, Wherefore or unto thy womb thou hast now brought forth like those that were before, but less of stature? And she shall answer thee, They that be born in the strength of youth, or of one fashion, and they that are born in the time of age, when the womb faileth, or otherwise. Consider thou therefore also how they are less of stature than those that were before you. And so are they that come after you less than you, as the creatures which now begin to be old, and have passed over the strength of youth. Then said I, O mighty God Ahiah, I beseech thee, if I have found favor in thy sight, show thy servant by whom thou visited the creature. And he said unto me, In the beginning, when the earth was made, before the borders of the world stood, or ever the winds blew, before it thundered and lightened, or ever the foundations of paradise were laid, before the fair flowers were seen, or ever the movable powers were established, before the innumerable multitudes of angels were gathered together, or ever the height of the air were lifted up, before the measures of the firmament were named, or ever the chimneys in Sion were hot, and ere the present years were sought out, and or ever the inventions of them that now sin were turned, before they were sealed, that have gathered faith for a treasure. Then did I consider these things, and they all were made through me alone, and through none other. By me also they shall be ended, and by none other. Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that follow it? And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followed. Then hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand. Other question, Esdras, asked thou not? And I answered then and said, O Lord, that bearest rule, if I have found a favor in thy sight, I beseech thee, show thy servant the end of thy tokens, whereof thou showest me part the last night. So he answered and said unto me, Stand up upon thy feet, and hear a mighty sounding voice. And it shall be as it were a great motion, but the place where thou standest shall not be moved. And therefore, when it spake it, be not afraid, for the word is of the end, and the foundations of the earth is understood. And why? Because the speech of these things trembled and is moved, for it knoweth that the end of these things must be changed. And it happened that when I had heard it, I stood up upon my feet and hearkened, and behold, there was a voice that spake, and the sound of it was like the sound of many waters. And it said, Behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh, and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and it will begin to make inquisitions of them, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Sion shall be fulfilled. And when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I show these tokens. The books shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see it altogether. And the children of a year old shall speak with their voice. The women with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man hear it, they shall be suddenly afraid. And that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Whereso remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape and see my salvation and the end of your world. And the men that are received shall see it, who have not tasted that from their birth, and the heart of the inhabitants shall be changed and turned into another meaning. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall be flourished. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth which had been so long without fruit shall be declared. And when he talked with me, behold, I looked by little and little upon him before whom I stood. And these words said he unto me, I am come to show thee the time of the night to come. If thou wilt pray yet more, and fast 7 days again, I shall tell thee greater things by day than I have heard. For thy voice is heard before the Most High, for the mighty had seen thy righteous dealing. He had seen also the chastity which thou hast had ever since thy youth. And therefore had he sent me to show thee all the things, and to say unto thee, Be of good comfort, and fear not. And hasten not with the times that are past to think vain things, that thou mayest not hasten from the latter times. And it came to pass after this that I wept again, and fasted 7 days in like manner, that I might fulfill the 3 weeks which he had told me. And in the 8th night was my heart vexed within me again, and I began to speak before the Most High. For my spirit was greatly set on fire, and my soul was in distress. And I said, O mighty God Ahia, thou spakest from the beginning of the creations, even the first day, and saidest thus, Let heaven and earth be made, and thy word was a perfect word. And then was the spirit, and darkness and silence were up every side, and the sound of man's voice was not yet formed. Then commandest thou a fair light to come forth of thy treasures, that the work might appear. Upon the 2nd day thou madest the spirit of the firmament, and commanded it to part asunder, and to make a division betwixt the water, and the one part might go up, and the other remain beneath. Upon the 3rd day thou commandest that the waters should be gathered in the 7th part of the earth. 6 pats hast thou dried up, and kept them, to the intent that of these some being planted of mighty God Ahia, until it might serve thee. For as soon as thy word went forth, the work was made, for immediately there was great and innumerable fruit, and many and diverse pleasures for the taste, and flowers of unchangeable color, and odors of wonderful smell. And this was done the 3rd day. Upon the 4th day thou commandest that the sun shall shine, and the moon give her light, and the stars should be in order, and gavest them a charge to do service unto man that was to be made. Upon the 5th day thou settest unto the 7th part where the waters were gathered, that it should bring forth living creatures, fowls and fishes, and so it came to pass. For the dumb water and without life brought forth living things at the commandment of mighty God Ahiah, that all people might praise thy wondrous works. Then thou didst ordain 2 living creatures, that one thou callest Enoch, and the other Leviathan, and this separate the one from the other, for the 7th part, namely where the water was gathered together, might not hold them both. Unto Enoch thou gavest 1 part which was dried up the 3rd day, and he should dwell in the same part wherein are 1,000 hills. But unto Leviathan thou gavest the 7th part, namely the moist, and hast kept him to be devoured, of whom thou wilt win and win. Upon the 6th day thou gavest commandment unto the earth, that before thee it should bring forth breasts, cattle, and creeping things. And after these Adam also, whom thou madest my king of all thy creatures, of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. All this have I spoken before thee, O mighty God Ahiah, because thou madest the world for our sakes. And as for the other people which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and hast likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. And now, O King, mighty God Ahiah, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us, and to devour us. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into their hands. If the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure? And when I had made an end of speaking these words, there was sent unto me the angel which had been sent unto me the nights afore. And he said unto me, Up, Esdras, and hear the words that I am come to tell thee. And I spake, Speak on, my king, mighty God Ahiah. Then said he unto me, The sea is set in a wide place, that it might be deep and great. But put the case, the entrance were narrow and like a river. Who then could go into the sea to look upon it and to rule it? If he went not through the narrow, how could he come into the broad? There is also another thing, a city is builded and set upon a broad field, and is full of all good things. The entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand, and on the left deep water, and one only path between them, both even between the fire and the water, so small that there could be one man go there at once. If this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance? And I said, It is so, my king Ahiah. Then said he unto me, Even so also is Israel's portion. Because for their sakes I made the world, and when Adam transgressed my statutes, then was decreed that now is done. Then were the entrances of this world made narrow, for full of sorrow and travail, they are but few, and evil, full of perils, and very painful. For the entrances of the elder world were wide and sure, and brought immortal fruit. If then they had labored not to enter these straight and vain things, they could never receive those that are laid up for them. Now therefore, why disquietest thou thyself, seeing thou art but a corruptible man? And why art thou moved, whereas thou art but mortal? Why hast thou not considered in thy mind this thing that is to come, rather than that which is present? Then answered I and said, O mighty God Ahiah, thou bearest rule, thou hast ordained in thy law that the righteous should inherit these things, but that the ungodly should perish. Nevertheless, the righteous shall suffer straight things and hope for wide, for they that have done wickedly have suffered the straight things, and yet shall not see the wide. And he said unto me, There is no judge above God, and none that had understanding above the highest. For there be many that perish in this life, because they despise the law of mighty God Ahijah that is set before them. For mighty God Ahijah had given straight commandments to such as came, what they should do to live, even as they came, and what they should observe to avoid punishment. Nevertheless, they were not obedient unto him, but spake against him and imagined vain things, and deceived themselves by their wicked deeds, and said of the Most High that he is not, and knew not his ways. But his laws have they despised, and denied his covenants. In his statutes have they not been faithful, and have not performed his works. And therefore, Esdras, for the empty things, and for the full of things. Behold, the time shall come that these tokens which I have told thee shall come to pass, and the bride shall appear, and she coming forth shall be seen, that now is withdrawn from the earth. And whosoever is delivered from the foresaid evils shall see my wonders. For my son Yeshua shall be revealed with those that be with him, and they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years. After these years shall my son Yeshua die, and all men that have life. And the world shall be turned, and back that up again. 7.29 And these years shall my son Christ Yeshua die, and all men that have life, and the world shall be turned into the old silence 7 days, like as in the former judgments, so that no man shall remain. And after 7 days the world that yet awaketh not shall be raised up, and that shall die that is corrupt. And the earth shall restore those that are asleep in her, and so shall the dust those that dwell in silence, and the secret places shall deliver those souls that were committed unto them. And the Most High shall appear upon the seat of judgment, and misery shall pass away, and the long suffering shall have an end. But judgment only shall remain, truth shall stand, and faith shall wax strong, and the word shall follow, and the reward shall be showed, and the good deeds shall be of force, and wicked deeds shall bear no rule. Then said I, Abraham prayed first for the Sodomites, and Moses for the fathers that sinned in the wilderness, and Yeshua my son after him for Israel in the time of Achan, and Samuel and David for the destruction, and Solomon for them that should come to the sanctuary, and Elias for those that received rain, and for the dead that he might live. And we're going to stop at that 7.39, and we will continue with 7.4 to the end tomorrow. Thank you for listening.